Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, or just Modern Warfare 2, whatever you want to call it. I play it on the Xbox Series X. It's also available on everything else. And the first thing I'm going to say is this is just a review of the campaign. I didn't play any of the multiplayer yet because, well, they didn't release hardcore mode and they're not going to until November 16th. And quite frankly, I hate playing normal multiplayer. I hate doing mag dumps to kill one dude. So moving on to the campaign. Once again, you play as the 141, or I guess now they're officially 141 since that kind of kicked off in the last game, but you bounce between certain characters, specifically Soap, Gaz, and Alejandro. Alejandro being a member of the Mexican Special Forces known as Los Vaqueros. And all of you are hunting a terrorist named Hassan, who somehow got his hands on American ballistic missiles. And the story really is actually its own story. It takes characters from the previous game, it takes characters from the original Modern Warfare 2, and it puts them in a new story. Although I will say it does hit some of the same story beats. There is one mission in this game where it goes full fast and fucking furious and just stupid. And when I hit that mission, I was truly disappointed in its existence, which I'll get into in a bit. Next, we'll go on to the audio, and I gotta say, I love the music in this game. I think it's very well done. It works very well with everything and anything that is going on at the time. It's what you expect from a AAA game. As for the sound effects, once again, they very much fit very well with what's going on. You get a wide variety of weapons, they have a wide variety of sound effects. Everything is done well. It's done to, again, a AAA standard. And that, of course, applies to the voiceover work. It's fantastic. I thought it was very good, so I'm not gonna complain about it. Now, as for the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, it is a first-person shooter. I know, that's truly shocking, but it kind of remains this game's bread and butter. Just right away, to get it out of the way, I'm gonna bitch and moan about a certain mission where you are driving vehicles, but you're not just driving a vehicle, you are like getting on top and hopping from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle, and it's too outlandish. Which I know sounds silly, but after the previous Modern Warfare reboot where they took a much more grounded and realistic approach, I mean obviously not ultra realistic, that mission just felt so out of place in the world that they had built in the previous game, and it felt like they were building in this game. But going beyond that, it just also had some busted ass physics, and it just, like I said, it felt completely out of place from a gameplay standpoint and a story standpoint. But by busted ass physics, I mean you can jump into these big, like, 10+ ton trucks, and then the enemy knocks like a little truck in front of you, and it brings you to a complete and total stop. Like a 2-ton vehicle, maybe a 2-ton vehicle, stops this 10-ton vehicle moving at, 50, 60 miles an hour. Just weird busted physics, and in there were some graphical glitches as well, which I'll get into later. But I mean, it is a mission-to-mission game, just like any Call of Duty is, and well, it does that fine. It jumps around the globe just like you would expect it to, but they try to recapture some things that you had experienced in previous games. One of them works. You do the whole gunship above, like protecting your fellow compatriots. That worked well. But this game's equivalent of All Gillied Up, yeah, they try to recreate that. It feels very soulless, and it just doesn't work as well as the original. It doesn't capture it at all. There are some weird and useless mechanics, like conversations. There will be radio chatter and you can respond however you feel like. It just doesn't feel necessary. It feels like them like ripping off popular RPGs, honestly, and it feels out of place and unnecessary. But when it comes down to the mission structure and how you execute the missions, how the game works, shooting through certain things, how different guns function, all of those mechanical things, I gotta say, I think the game actually functions very well, and it was enjoyable to an extent. They also introduce a new mechanic where you've lost all your weapons and you have to sneak about and, cobble together things and go very guerrilla warfare, and it worked, but it felt weird at the same time. I didn't necessarily love it. I didn't despise it either, but I could have happily lived without it. As for the controls, I have zero complaints with the controls. I mean, Call of Duty has the controls down. They've been doing this for I don't know how long. All the different devs who work on the different Call of Duty games. From a control standpoint, this is no different. It functions very well. And then, last but not least, let's get into the graphics and visuals. And it's kind of a mixed bag. The characters look amazing. Their designs, the cloths, the guns, the details in some of the animations are really impressive. And overall, the world looks good. The problem is when you're crawling on your belly looking at the grass and the grass isn't like moving out of your way and it just kind of warps through your face. That looks kind of shit nowadays because other companies do that better. You can see some of the low poly stuff in like the grass on the ground when you're crawling in it because you have to be. So that does get noticeable at times. Whereas other things look really good. Buildings are very well done. Fire and such are very well done. The bricks, all of the detail that makes these buildings look very real is well done. But as for the guns, like the different reload animations, the rounds in the magazine, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff. Even, like, you can select fire on the guns. You can see your character's hand use the selector switch. It's actually really cool and impressive. And I don't think I captured any footage of it and should have. But I think small details like that are really kind of awesome and mind-blowing. As for some weird graphical glitches, like I mentioned, when I was doing the whole truck mission, there are times where you're in a truck and you shoot a dude, and you can see him like halfway clipping out of the truck, and it just looks really janky. And it happens a lot in that mission, and it just gets ridiculous. But graphically, overall, it works well enough, and when the game is fast-paced, you don't notice its shortcomings. The problem is when it does slow down for their version of being all gillied up, you do notice some of the, like, less impressive details. Okay, so to wrap this up, this was just a review of the campaign. I've got to say, it's not as good as the last one, just plain and simple. It's totally fine, but if I had to pay for just the campaign, if I was paying more than $30, I'd be very disappointed. And as for the co-op mode, it's fine, it's fun, it's nothing mind-blowing. I've never found the co-op in Call of Duty games mind-blowing. It's certainly no zombie mode, let's be real with that. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, what is your favorite Call of Duty game? Pretty sure I've asked that before, but why not again? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.